But nobody last year.
Once I heard her come like stomping down the hallway, I was like,
your meeting is now being live streamed. Got it.
Thanks for that. Don't want to say anything.
What are you talking about? Yeah.
Which one yesterday or it's Joanna.
she'll be back. I can't.
Did you do it again?
Yes, 100% there.
With Joanna. When I walked away, I got up to the card and when I realized that there were 2 items that we definitely don't want 2 of because they were expensive and we don't need them. And I'm hoping, and so just tell me what they are and I'll I put it in the week. Anyway, I can't believe I did that. And I was curious about it, but I had a really crazy fall break. And I'm glad you did.
I set an order before fall break.
And then I did. It's
like,
First semester, not everything.
I love that. Oh, I love it already.
I know.
That's only the best.
I don't understand.
I was Sam too.
You really.
Oh. Come on, Lily.
Okay, Susan, I'll let you go. Yeah, bye.
Yeah. What are we doing?
Okay.
All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Finally, if we're ready. The cheesecake's going up to the screen.
Yeah, we're ready.
All right, we're ready. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And the first thing on the agenda is visiting faculty.
Lauren Nelson is our visiting faculty, and myself. I'm Kelly Ray, I'm the EC coordinator, and this is Lauren Nelson, one of our lovely EC teachers. And she did an awesome lesson with one of our 4th grade classes on inclusion that she's going to share with us today.
We pull up, but first, I just wanted to share a little bit like where this lesson even came from, and one of Miss Maddie's students, Parker. Is, can you hear us?
Yep, we can hear you. Are you guys ready for her?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, my girl.
Hi, my name is Parker. I'm in 4th grade in Miss Maddie's class. Today, I will be talking about inclusion. To me, inclusion means finding ways to include everybody.
Right there. Inclusion.
Inclusion is important so you don't hurt anybody's feelings and you can make more friends and be a good friend. This year was my first year at CFCI and I was a little nervous, but I knew Olivia, one of my classmates. Olivia showed me inclusion and made me feel comfortable. I was then able to show other people that same kindness.
Good job.
Even if you have never seen someone with special needs, still treat them how you want to be treated because they are still a person. We all have special needs.
Good job.
So she's one that inspired me, really.
Good job.
Thank you, Parker. I know you're busy with Dan.
Thank you. You're welcome. Bye.
At Dan's class right now.
Yeah, she's gonna break. I love it.
All right, Maddie, I'm going to ask to unmute you.
So Parker was our inspiration. My students go out into their general ed classes for recess, lunch, and specials. And so they get to interact with their general ed peers. Parker was a natural at interacting with one of my students, and it was almost impossible not to notice how great she was with them. So we asked her, do you have it was like an interview, do you have experience with this? Do you have a family member or something? She's like, no. And I was like, why did you know how to just treat them? And she's like, I just try to treat them like a human. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. And it's so simple, but she's absolutely an amazing child. So then we, Maddie and I, hey Maddie, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
So yes. So Maddie and I just started talking, and we figured this is something that we needed to explicitly teach to everybody because maybe they just don't know. So once we were partnered together, because my students in her class, we just started thinking of ideas of ways to really hone in on inclusion and just kind of making it the norm, I guess. Am I missing anything, Maddie?
No, I mean, I think it was just something that Parker did. Lauren got to see a glimpse of it when she's in my room, but it was just with everybody that she was, smiling at them or asking them to sit with her. And, usually when you're new to a school, you're so nervous and stuff. And she just didn't have any of that at all. So I think it just kind of naturally brought up a conversation of trying to get everybody in our class to be that way and everybody at the school to be that way. So it was just really awesome the way it kind of naturally happened with Parker, and she's awesome. Her mom's a teacher. So it was just a really full circle moment, I feel like, for us.
So this is this is the presentation that I shared with the class, and we can just briefly go through it. So we started off with testing their knowledge, and so I went around and I gave them all a sheet of paper flipped over, and Maddie and her intern, and then we got Parker in on it and another child in on it. The students were only given the instructions to flip it over and start it. We don't want to hear any questions. It's so easy. You should be able to do it. It's fine. All the things that kids with disabilities hear all the time. And so it was the next slide. It was this right here. So, and the kids freaked out. If you can't see it, it's backwards, right? Yeah, so the kids freaked out. They were like, but wait. And we were like, no questions, no nothing. You guys should have been, you should have understood this already. Clearly you guys you weren't listening or something. You missed the point, something. And they lost it, lost it. So then I went over that. I was like, all right, well, we're done. It's the time where we're done. So who got this answer for number one? And people were looking around, what the hell? And Parker and the other child was like, we got it. It was easy. What's wrong? So, and that's what our kids, experience a lot of the time. It's why can't you do that? It's easy. So, and then literally if you flip it over, that's the actual thing. And I just put into the Google, do it backwards or whatever. So that's the original. And then we also did this activity where I challenged the class to read them out loud. Maddie's class is phenomenal and they were able to do it. I didn't, I didn't think so. And then we also did one where two students were standing on the carpet. One was reading to the other one while another one was like fanning the back of her. The rest of the class was like humming, and another child was making more noise. And that's how it would be if you had ADHD or autism. You can hear everything. It kind of humbled the kids at first to like, okay, this is what it could be like. And there was one that was an anomaly, and he was able to answer the questions, and it wasn't even read to him. But so then we followed up with this book, You Are Enough, a book about inclusion. And then I just shared, no, you don't want to. That's the book. You guys can, do it on your own. And then I just shared like some helpful like tips when you are interacting with children with disabilities. So like because as I said, like I think a lot of them just don't know. So they're treated like everyone else. Talk to them face to face. Don't talk to me because I can't answer for them. I may be with them, I can't answer for them. Talk to them, and then I'll help you decipher what they're saying. If that's necessary. Kids are kids, disability or not. So everybody wants to play, everybody wants to have fun, include them. And then it's kind to be helpful, but ask first. So we see a lot of times where the kids just want to do everything for them and they are fully capable. And so we just really honed in on asking permission before you help. And then the don't stare, I think is the next one. Ask questions.
Don't stare was before.
Yeah, so you get a lot of staring, and I did love another thing about Maddie's class is there's a child who just flat out asked one of my students, why do you have those headphones on? And I was like, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that you asked that. And so I really encourage the rest of the students to ask questions. Don't, if you're staring, that means you're wondering something. So ask the question. And then just make sure those questions are, nice and positive or whatever. And then use your normal talking voice. They are not babies. So, you don't have to like, all of that. So, and we showed them ways to,
I think you muted.
and then here's the finished product. Like, so they, Maddie's in the way. No, I can't read it. So I found this website.
Hold up, I got you. Excuse me,
Yeah,
Maddie, I'm gonna move you.
But it's not.
And I pledge to accept, respect, and include people of all abilities, including my peers with special needs and disabilities. Inclusion starts with me. So then I gave them each a puzzle piece. They wrote how they are going to show inclusion, and it was phrased of like what you can do, not what not to do. So, okay, if you're not going to stare, what are you going to do? So they all were so eager to, make their piece and then put it all together, and then there it is. So they accepted the pledge.
That's awesome.
That's
Well
awesome.
done. Well done. You're crazy busy, but would you do it in another classroom?
Absolutely.
I would love.
I really, I think that the humbling piece, like in the beginning, really did something for the kids. Like it just like, it was like, oh, that's how it is, that's how it can be like. And just because you look different doesn't mean there's an disability, or, I mean, we all have a little, disability. So then I think it also like brought into their attention, like, oh, well, I struggle with that too, or that would have been hard for me too. So, absolutely, I would absolutely love it. The kids loved it. I loved it.
Just really quick to add to, going off of what Lauren said, I feel like since this conversation with our kids, like they've been more willing to admit when things are hard for them, which has been really awesome because, you know, then obviously as teachers, we can help them if they admit it. I think sometimes that's embarrassing, but I think that it really just kind of opened their eyes that like everybody needs different things and no one's perfect at everything. So that's been something that's like a lasting effect of the conversation. So thank you for that, Lauren.
Thank you, Maddie.
I was gonna say even our dyslexic ADHD,
Right.
not such an extreme on the spectrum, but
Right.
still have those similar difficulties and those similar challenges that, like you said, being able to admit what's difficult for them throughout the day, even our AIG kids.
And yeah, and I think that was the biggest thing was like them to admit that.
Everything's supposed to be easy for them and it's not.
Oh, yeah,
Both
yeah.
sides of the coin.
And then Maddie and I took it full advantage of being like, it's so easy. Like, cause how many times do you hear that throughout the day? And you know, it's just so easy. I don't understand why you're not understanding it. Like, put your hand down and do your work. So, and then to bring it full circle was pretty cool to see.
Was Austin in the room when you did this?
Yes, yep. So anytime, you know, we took advantage of him being in there, and then he leaves a little earlier, so I use that time to like, if anybody has any questions now, like go ahead and ask for. I did something similar last year in his third grade class, but nothing like this. I thought that the fourth graders needed something a little more in depth than just a story and similarities and differences.
Yeah. I mean, I can see this being so applicable at different kind of levels.
Oh, absolutely.
But starting again, you know, there's a lesson in kindergarten for this. There's a lesson in
Yes.
first grade. There's a lesson in the whole continuum along. Yeah. Because again, you're always gonna have somebody different in your classroom, and what different looks like may be changing.
And it's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing, and it's a comfort thing. I think I fell into special education. I never thought I'd be in special education. Not here 10 years later. So I mean, you just, if you don't know, you don't know. So it's our job as a teacher.
Explicitly.
Yeah. Very well done.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Maddie.
Thanks, Maddie.
Hi, guys. Thank you.
That's cool.
That's great.
Charlie's class, so I'm super curious. I've done some that fusion activity and just like brought them down. This was about this really to be activities and this is what we started this. This is a great one that's about specific.
All right, we'll go ahead and if you want to take a look at the minutes, if there are no objections or corrections or anything changes that we need to make, we need a motion to approve the minutes for both September and then October 2nd.
Make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved to approve the minutes for 9/19 and 10/2. Great. Thank you. In the next person, Susan.
Okay, so I am going to start with, we have Zachary Donahue from Charter Success Partners on with us. Zachary, can you hear me?
I can. Thank you.
I'm going to turn it over to you, and if you just want to let me know if there's anything that I need to do on my end to share something, just let me know.
Okay. Yeah. Happy to be with you all tonight. Thanks for having me. For those who may not know, I'm Zach Donahue. I'm one of the owners of Charter Success Partners, and we are your accounting and payroll and kind of back office support services provider. And so we're very glad to partner with you guys. Love the mission of the school. It was an amazing presentation. I used to be a board member of a charter school in Raleigh myself for 4 years and was the board chairman for 2 years. And I always loved starting a meeting with a presentation like that to remind everybody of why why we're here and what we're doing this for. And so that was really neat to see. But anyway, I know you have a heavy agenda, so I won't take too much of your time. But Susan, I guess if you want to open the board report,
Yes, sir.
what I would love to do is just give you all a quick walkthrough of the financial report through September, which is 3 months into the fiscal year, so 25% of the way into the fiscal year. And I love to start at the very bottom, Susan. So if you wouldn't mind just scrolling to the very bottom, what I'll call your attention to is that very bottom row is the surplus or deficit, and the number on the kind of to the immediate right of surplus, the 44,000, that's your board approved budget surplus. And so what we do every single month is based on current information that we know and current trend rates of how you're spending and how revenue is coming in. We update what we call our end of year projections, which is our latest and greatest and best guess at that time as to where you're going to end the year, so that you don't have to amend the budget every single month. We kind of do that as a moving target to say, hey, here's where we think things are going to end up. That's that far right column. And so as you can see, on a budget of 44,000, just under 45,000 through 3 months, we're projecting a surplus of just about 55,000. So about $11,000 more than budget. So that's good news. That's great to see. And that's, if you only look at one number every month, I would say that's the number to look at, is that very bottom right one. That's kind of our latest and greatest best guess as to where we're going to end up the year from a financial standpoint. So I'll stop there for just a minute to see if there are any questions on the report. I don't want to skim over anything, but this being the first time I've presented to you, I definitely want to make sure I take time to answer any questions. And if there aren't any, I understand. I have told Susan, I tell all the clients that we're here and available anytime. So if any board member, any parent, any interested teacher, faculty member, community member ever has questions about anything, please reach out. We a big part of our mission, if you look at our mission statement, it's to improve students' lives. And we do that, somewhat indirectly, obviously, through the services that we do. But a big part of that is to educate our clients and stakeholders about what we do. And this is kind of the summary of all the hard work that everybody puts in throughout the month. But Susan, if you want to go back to the agenda, I don't know if there was anything else on there that I needed to present or go over.
Nothing specific to the agenda, unless you wanted me to pull up one of the reports, I can do that.
No, I don't think that's necessary unless any member of the board wants to. I think the financial report that we just looked at is the main thing that I wanted to go over. And again, if anybody wants to know more details about any of the work that we do, how we arrive at the numbers, et cetera, I will make myself available anytime, and would be happy to sit down and walk through any of that.
Thank you, Zach. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, you bet. And I'm happy to stay. Oops, you know what? I apologize. I thought I had my video on the whole time and I did not. So here's me. But I'm happy to stay on. I don't know if you have anything else related to anything that we help you with on the agenda. I'm happy to stay on if so, but if not, then I'm happy to jump off if I'm not going to be needed.
No, that's all. Thank you so much.
Okay, you bet. Have a great rest of the meeting. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question just about what one of the line items means or includes? What is the non-cap equipment and leases?
Okay, so that is what we use for the playground equipment.
Okay.
The budget from last year did not, the budget going into this year did not reflect the playground equipment because we thought that was gonna be for fiscal year 23.
Because
But
it
when
took
we
so-
experienced so many delays in the installation and
Gotcha.
receiving the materials, that's when that got pushed into fiscal year 24. Another discrepancy is last year with our previous financial partner, they classified it as instructional supplies. And that's how it was in BAS in the state system. And it's really, it should be classified as non-cap equipment. So that's why that line item has changed too. So you would see a discrepancy from last year with the PRC 181. If you see that, that's the money you used to pay for the playground. And it's been reclassed for this budget, which is why you see such a difference in what we budgeted for and what we've spent thus far.
Right.
That's exclusively the playground.
But that money didn't disappear. It just really rolled over. It just isn't reflected in this year's budget. So
Correct.
when we see that it's 151%, it's not that we overspent. It's we're
No,
spending
it's
from
not.
last year's funds. Okay.
And also the revenue has been updated and that was just updated yesterday. So what was not reflected in the revenue was the actual money that we were carrying over from 181. So now that's been reflected, which is why you saw an increase in the surplus as well by about $11,000. So that number is likely to fluctuate. Remember, we talked about last time, we're more than what we anticipated we would be in building expenses. We explained that there are some things that are happening in the building and we have to address them. So that's been something that we didn't anticipate some of those expenses. I anticipate we will go over budget in building supplies and materials and contracted building services as well. So that's something that we're paying attention to right now. I asked their recommendation with regard to amendments. Would you be looking at an amendment every board meeting? And they said, no, that's not even the recommendation. You may update and amend quarterly, but that might even be excessive. So they tend to say, leave it as is. We use that as a barometer and a threshold, and then we evaluate our spending to determine how far off we were and if we need to make adjustments for next year and the like.
So this is the projected budget next year.
For this year.
So this is quarter 1. When did your fiscal
We
year
are
start?
just finished quarter 1. So July through September is quarter 1. So if you're looking at percentage of what you've spent, you should be about 25% thus far. When you look and dial down into the detailed budget, we're about there in most all categories. Some are off, and remember we talked about this before, some of it you spend down more quickly than others. So we're going to spend state funding, for example, more quickly than we're gonna spend that down, then we're gonna hit the local funding. So for salaries, you'll see we have in the detailed version, which I can provide everybody, but 2% local spending on salaries, and we're at 40 some odd percent for state funding and salaries. We're averaging where we need to be for salaries. But what this does not reflect and will reflect going into next month, which is what I want us to anticipate, is the state salary schedule increases for teachers will be paid out at the end of this month. So the October payroll is going to reflect those raises, and that's going to hit us about $56,000 of what we didn't anticipate in salary expenses from what we projected. We knew this was coming. So this isn't something that will tank us by any means, but it is a question mark as to how much of the state allotment is going to compensate for that. So we're thinking it's probably going to be a wash. We're probably going to see more in state allotment, and our ADM is average. So if you remember us talking about that attendance piece, how important that is. The first 20 days calculates what your funding is going to be from the state. We were at 399.8 as an ADM when we project out for 408 students. So that's going to have a pretty substantial impact. That's about $50,000 to $60,000 we'd be looking at that we would see a decrease in funding. But we do anticipate that we'll see more state funding with the increase in the salary schedule, and the allotments are projected to increase for all schools. So we're thinking that's going to land at about a wash, but we're going to pay close attention to that. Unfortunately, budgeting in a school is almost an impossibility because you don't get those numbers. When you're planning this budget, we have no earthly clue what we're going to get from the state. We don't know what the local APM is. We don't know what our attendance is going to be. So it's really just a moving target that we continue to monitor and give our best guess.
And we don't always,
With that,
we don't always know what we're spending out either.
exactly.
But the fund balance is not in this, right? We still have that separate.
operating budget is based on what we anticipate we will receive in state, local, and federal funding, has nothing to do with our fund balance. Where, in terms of total assets, our balance sheet, which I'll send out to you all, I thought, I anticipated that was a little bit different, but, the balance sheet, which I usually go over, I'll send that out to everybody. We're exactly the same as where we were last month. We're looking at a little over 2.2 million in total assets, with very little liability. So that's something that is a good thing. We're in a good financial stand right now, but we also don't want to take that as, a green light to spend more than we should be in our operating budget. So we're still trying to stay within this confines of what we.
How much money was raised in Fund One?
I believe it was, well, Joanna would be.
So a little over $12,000, but we have a number of recurring donors, so they pledged to do $50 a month indefinitely.
Oh.
So there's one, Duke Energy matches all donations 100%. So there's a family that's giving $50 a month, but then the match makes it $100 a month.
That is
So
fantastic.
so that's a great way to do this. But yeah, it's a, more companies are doing it, and the companies that are, we know more about, so they're, again, hopefully maximizing that. So yeah, we were right over 12,000 in kind of the official piece, and then we'll let it run. Continue to give until they don't want to.
And note that that money is not anywhere in here.
Right.
So
I
that's
was just
specific to the
curious.
partnership. So they raise and then they provide allotments to teachers and are very generous to our staff, but
Right.
none of that is reflected.
Right.
So that's additional funding that we are lucky to have. Any other questions budget wise? Okay. All right, I will move to the computer number 2 that has finally booted. I'll move to the facilities report. If you see that link, I will, Tim, if you don't mind projecting that. And as my ghost presented it. All right, so complete projects, the remainder of the shrubs and brush were cleared. The cost was $900 for that. That was our landscaping company that took care of that. And if you recall, that was to provide less hiding places, and it has been effective. We have been able to clear that out, and people have not hidden their belongings there. The alarm company is
I didn't even know there was a fence on the other side of that retention line.
right?
I had no idea that
That's
that
helpful.
property, I don't know who I thought of it, but I didn't know it was us. So,
It's such a different view.
Yeah.
It was,
Very nice.
it was scary the first couple of days, just seeing what was behind there and realizing that. And then Patrick had an experience with people came over trying to like take stuff over there, and Patrick's like, you're on school property, you need to leave. And they're like, this is our stuff, or not our stuff, we're just cleaning it up for you.
Oh, that's pretty. Appreciate the help. Our alarm company is scheduled to move the ID card swipe from the former front office to the double doors. So to make sense of that, when you enter our campus, you have to be buzzed in, but then the other buzz is the old office, the former office that you had to turn right into, and that's now an intervention space. So what we needed to do was create an additional buzzer so that we have to then let somebody into the actual school building and provide additional security. For somebody who is outside of the building, we do have the ability to talk to them. So the practice that has been communicated is we need to ask what your purpose is here. We recognize a lot of our families, that's not my concern. But for those that we don't know who they are, you have to ask, why are you here? And identify specifically that need so that we can determine if they should be on campus. So that has provided an additional report.
I know this might be off topic, but has there been discussion about putting a side entrance to the double doors to the MPR?
There has. It's a pretty significant expense, but we are going at price now.
I was just curious. where
It
that
could
had been.
potentially be part of our safety equipment that the board approved the $10,000 for. We're just waiting on quotes to determine where we are with that so that we don't overspend beyond what we've been allotted.
I was just curious, we had asked a while ago, and I was curious if it just disappeared for a reason.
Yeah,
So thank you.
absolutely. Upcoming projects, the permit came through on the sign. Josh gave us a big thank for that, so everybody thanks Josh.
So they'll know we're not a public park.
What's that?
They'll know we're not a public park. That's awesome.
Yes, yes. We'll have more signage.
It's a beautiful
for
playground.
It is
people
a
to
beautiful
use.
playground.
The company has confirmed that we are in production, so we are producing a sign. The work order for the installation of security lighting has been submitted. We're awaiting scheduling. I know Ben just talked to them today and they're supposed to be coming out within the week. So we're just looking to see what that's gonna cost and what it's gonna look like for us. We are going to wait until the final cost is confirmed, as I mentioned, before investigating other security options because electric can be very costly. We just want to make sure we're not going over budget with what we're trying to get scheduled. So we will update you as soon as we have information there. And the school safety update, we had a safety committee meeting on October 2nd, and the committee is currently working on the plan for the introduction of ALICE to families and eventually students. And I will use this opportunity as a plug for any board members who would like to receive ALICE training. We do have one board member interested. We'd love to see more people interested in the training because it is, I think it conceptualizes what our mission is as a school in terms of safety.
We did it at North.
Did you? Okay, so some of you are already trained in that respect and certainly you wouldn't need to go through it again. But for those of you who don't have that experience, I would highly recommend it. Any questions on that? All right. We do have a closed session discussion scheduled, but if you all are amenable, we can move into the Director of Education report and then go to closed session afterward, which would be our final agenda item. We would just need a motion to amend the agenda to reflect that.
Oh. Okay, motion to amend the agenda.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay, thank you. All right.
all in favor? Sorry.
I will just get the notes in there
All
at
right.
some point. So Kim, do you want me to present the education piece or would you like to chime in?
You don't mind doing it, Susan, that'd be great.
You could, as fancy as that thing is, right?
It's not, so not fancy. It's not.
I love this thing.
Right?
Smart board. No, I never have.
Before hopping into that, very briefly, there is an SB 49 policy update. So the state superintendent, Catherine Truitt, was successful in getting a stay in adopting the policies, but they have to be adopted by January 1st. There is, so we don't have a December meeting. We will have to either have a special call meeting or agree to policies in November. So that's just something that will be on the horizon. Kim and I are currently working on, amending the policies as needed, and we'll get that out to you as soon as possible. So we do have a little bit more time on that, and there are pieces of that that require State Board of Education guidance that they have not developed yet, and they have not promised to develop them by January 1st either. So they did allow for those specific elements to be adopted in no later than July of 2020.
Okay.
So I will have to sit through specifically what the State Board of Education pieces are, so I can notify you which ones we have some time to marinate over. But the main pieces that we've discussed that have that controversial element, they're not State Board of Education guidance for the most part. So just to kind of put that out there for everybody. And we are currently talking with an attorney about our policies. I have on this agenda that we'd like to have consideration for approval at the November meeting. It may not be possible. We do want to do a thorough job and make sure that we're fully vetted in terms of attorney advice. So we will keep you abreast of that. And as soon as we have something to share with you for review, we'll of course put it out there. But I don't want us to be forced up against a timeline to adopt policies that may or may not reflect what we need them to. So that's where we are with that. So for our Director of Education report, our enrollment as of October 17th, our total enrollment is 403. For kindergarten, we are full. First grade as well. Second, we are full at 44. Third, we have 43. Fourth, we are at 47 students. So that's one less than what we typically offer. Fifth grade 48 is full, sixth grade full, seventh grade 47, so one less, and eighth grade 46, two less than we typically enroll.
Is third grade also one less?
Third grade is one less. They typically are at 44. They're not highlighted, but I can do that.
And they all left after the 20 days. Well.
I'm sorry. what's
Third
that?
grade one did, you just.
Left after the 20 days.
Right, so as a reminder, for those who are not familiar, our policy is after the first 20 days, we do not enroll any new students. So those numbers will either be consistent or they will go down based on the.
The other student, I'm gonna learn the other grade.
Yeah, I can't say
No,
that. If it's my
We actually
document. I
gained
can't.
some in the eighth grade, more than we started with, and we did gain, I believe, one seventh grade student. I would have to be fact checked by Kim there, but,
And one eighth grade.
Yeah.
marketing and school, marketing the school and enrollment, Deborah Korb, our front office coordinator and student information manager, and the coordinators will be training on Schoolment this month. That's new to us. If you are familiar with lotteries, this serves the same purpose as lotteries. It's just a different platform. It actually offers a lot more in terms of capability, dialing down to demographics, giving you concentric circles of where your prospective enrollees live, giving you more data to really advance your marketing plan. So I'm excited about getting into Schoolment. I think it'll give us a lot of good information, and it should be a little more user-friendly, we're thinking, from the parent-facing side. So that training is going to happen with the coordinators, Kim and Deborah Korb. I have attended a just kind of an informational session to see what it offers, and it looks really good. They will help build engagement when a family finds us and how we tell our story. Why should they come here? Enrollments of students is easy and seamless from start to finish. These are quotes from our marketing and school enrollment. They will help us use data to find out exactly what's affecting enrollment and help us improve year to year. They also have the capability of when somebody signs up for a prospective parent meeting, follow-up communication. If they didn't show up, sorry, we missed you. Here's another prospective parent meeting that you could attend. If we did see you, here's some more information, great things about our school, things like that. So it keeps that prospective enrollee engaged so that when it comes time to select the school for your school, they've really had a lot of interfacing with the school and the school staff here. Professional development, our first committee meeting day will be held on Wednesday, October 18th at 3:30, so tomorrow. Teachers have submitted their personal inquiry plans, so tips, and have begun working on their personalized learning for the 23-24 school year. Some of this includes learning and more and implementing the new SEL curriculum. Some includes continuing science of reading training, and some includes building units of study through collaborative learning and or taking courses. For volunteers, we are happy to report that we currently have over 250 volunteers who have signed up to come into the school to work with our students, chaperone on trips, etc. And we feel very fortunate to have such a dedicated group of volunteers and family members and people who just want to help our students. We did change our process this year a bit and required by September 30th. We had one window that will close now. So it's closed right now. You cannot submit a volunteer background check at this point. And then it will open up again after our Christmas break. So our winter break, it'll open up again in January and run through January 31st. So we felt that this helped us keep a handle on volunteers more readily and be able to kind of vet through that process for the teachers who are really manning a lot of the field trip opportunities, having people in their classrooms. It's quite a process. So we feel that this has streamlined that quite a bit. Weekly community communication, say that 5 times fast, with our families is an important part of keeping our partnership strong and transparent. The links to the most recent newsletters will be linked to the agenda soon. PCN, the Parent Collaborative Network, began the school year with our first meeting on September 26th at 3:30. We're going to focus on our strategic plan and opportunities for outreach throughout the school year. Our next meeting is next week, so we'll be meeting on, I believe, the 24th.
Do our board members who don't have children here get the weekly communication?
I'm sorry.
You get the.
Yes.
Can send that out. And updates it on these reports as well, so everybody has access to it. For SEL curriculum, we started the school year with a new social emotional curriculum that all core teachers are using called Everyday Speech, and there is a link to that particular curriculum. We did get some feedback from staff members at our last faculty meeting and received a lot of positive feedback on the SEL curriculum. In particular, the growth mindset, and that students in the building are really embracing it, and you're hearing it in their conversations, unprompted, unsolicited. It's part of the way they're thinking, so it's really nice to see that it's having a direct impact so quickly. So people were fond of that. I don't know if any of the teachers want to chime in.
It's got, it has a lot of really great stuff. Yeah, I mean, 8th grade has a different perspective. Like that, so,
Sure,
you know,
that's the
it's got one foot out the door,
It's
so.
pretty great, take it pretty seriously,
Yeah.
especially the warm-up video and the discuss part, like they watch a video and then they have engagement. The other parts of it, I've had to get creative with, like working it into morning question, things like that, because they have a lot of like prompting in general. It's just not enough. There's not enough time in a day, but they've
Right.
taken it, especially the breathing and the whole, we've learned, I mean, this week we're doing 360 breathing and they like taking it seriously. Like I had a picture of my kids on the floor all doing belly breathing as
Oh.
serious as they could be, like all asking to turn out the lights, like they were, it was pretty cool. And they refer to it, like when someone's stressing out. So.
Yeah, mine absolutely love it. Sorry, the voice from the other side of the room.
I see
Hi. Yeah, it's great. And I love seeing it with the little ones, them incorporating a lot of the vocabulary and techniques and everything to help their peers and themselves. And I think it's been a wonderful addition this school year.
I will say, as the 8th grade teacher in the room, that I do think that to watch how this grows and changes kids over time, like inheriting kids that have had it for a year, that's going to completely change perspective, you know, kind of like we did with our math curriculum, right? Vocabulary, all of that. So I'm excited about that.
Thank you. For overnight field trips, we do have pending board approval 2 field trips that will be coming overnight. Williamsburg trip, and I believe we talked about this last time as well. So we've got our 5th grade trip that traditionally goes to Williamsburg. That's May 1st through the 3rd. We have our Washington DC trip for the 8th graders. And Kathy, can you remind me when that is?
April 24th through the 26th.
24th through the 26th. So we're implementing a new process. We're asking you to bear with us for that. We have new packets and new information that will be coming to the board so you are informed of what you're approving, so should you so approve the trips. But we do like to put them tentatively out there because with these types of trips, we have to start communicating now. They are an expense. They do require down payments and deposits and all kinds of planning that the teachers have to implement. So we do need to start those. We just wanted to put that out there. We will have the packets to you as soon as possible. But our policy that we are proposing requires at least a 90-day notice for the board. Any other questions about that or comments on the Director of Education report?
So, yeah, we need a motion to move into closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
Are we coming back through the maternity? What about the maternity? The paid
That
parent
will
leave?
have to be voted on in open session. So we will return after closed session to vote on the paid parental leave.
I want to.
You are welcome to stay. Yeah, if we're not. We have a few other lines.
Oh, we're staying. We're staying.
I think we're staying here and they left, I do need.
Or you can shoot me his name and we can do that while he's out.